Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Soul Searching, my epic video diaries, episode 40 or 40? I don't know what direction it's going. Hello. Welcome to Soul Searching, my epic video diaries, the final episode. Can you believe it? I cannot. As you can see behind me, this is not my usual setting because I am not in Korea anymore. It's the final episode, and so I thought I would take you on a little journey through the past few weeks and then talk about what's going on right now and then what's going on in the future. So let's start in the past. The last video, episode 39, was the video that we did up the East Coast. And then after the East Coast, we went straight across the country, drove to Seoul. And then that was a super, super fun weekend. First thing that happened was, the first thing that happened was we hated our hotel and it was miserable. But then the Saturday was really fantastic because I got this. Oh, I'll explain the bruise later. But I got this. This is a tattoo that I have been waiting for 6-7 years to get. And I was supposed to get it a few weeks ago, but then there was an issue with COVID within my friend group, and so I had to postpone it. But I've been waiting for this tattoo for a long time. To fill you all in on the story behind the tattoo, my favorite book of all time is called The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Diffenbaugh. It's a fantastic book. I would recommend everyone read it. And in the back of the book, there is a full Victorian flower dictionary. And as a dancer, as a mover, as a theater practitioner, I really love the idea of using nonverbal language. And so I really liked the idea of putting a flower on my body. I never liked words, the idea of words on my body, and so a flower on my body to symbolize something meaningful was something I was really interested in. And I spent lots and lots of time looking for a flower that I liked the meaning of and that I thought was really beautiful. And finally I stumbled upon the gentian flower, which means intrinsic worth. And to get super personal, I feel like I've had a lot of issues with that in the past, and in my time in Korea, I've learned a lot about myself. We'll get more into that later. I've learned a lot about myself, and I am starting, or have started to believe that is true unconditionally. And so it meant a lot to me to get that here. And also, it's one moment, please. So then also the circle, I think that's where it was. The circle is continuous, and so it's a reminder that this is going to be a continual process of reminding myself of my intrinsic worthiness, my intrinsic worth. But it's also unfinished because the work is never finished, and so there's a lot of ideas going on with this tattoo, but I'm absolutely in love with it, and I'm so glad that I got to do it while I was still in Korea. It means a lot to me, and I can't wait to have this as a reminder for the rest of my life. And it looks so pretty. So I got the tattoo, and then that night, Allie and I went to go see Hadestown in Korean. It was really, really cool to be able to go and see that. We had originally bought tickets for the other week that we had been in Seoul, but that performance got canceled because someone in the cast got COVID. So the whole performance was canceled and we had to reschedule, and it was a lot of things. So that was a really wonderful day to just kind of go through all of those things that I had wanted to do, getting the tattoo and then going and seeing that performance. And that was a really awesome day. And then after that, for a whole week, I packed and I sold everything that I owned, which was incredibly stressful and not fun at all. I've lived in Korea for 2 years now and have accumulated quite a bit. but a lot of that stuff is, you know, necessary things for living, pots, pans, cutlery, things like that. And so, you know, it's natural to have a lot of stuff. A lot of people said, wow, you've got a lot of stuff. You're a maximalist. And I was like, I just have I do have some extra stuff, but I also just have things for living that you don't think about having to sell until you actually have to sell them because you're leaving the country. And if you don't sell them, then you have to throw them out. And if you have to throw them out for some of the big things, you have to pay big money to do that. So I sold everything. Some of the new teachers came in and got some stuff. Some of my friends bought some stuff. But anyways, it was a hectic process. There was trash everywhere. Done. And then I moved out of my apartment on February 28th. On February 28th, I moved into Tony's apartment temporarily. Hung out with Tony for a couple of days. I had a lot to do. Paperwork, applying for my pension, which is the money that I'm gonna get. Hectic. It was hectic. And then that was a week full of goodbyes. It was those 2 weeks were 2 weeks full of really, really, really difficult goodbyes. You know, I'm like my parents in that I have now moved to a country and then left a country twice. I didn't live in the first country for as long. I didn't live in Ghana for as long, but leaving a country sucks. There's no better way to say that. When you leave, they say that you leave a piece of your heart behind, and I wrote this on Instagram, but it feels like I'm leaving a whole chunk. I have we're falling again. I have so many people that I love that I am leaving behind in Korea. My students, I adore my students. I talk about my students all the time. My co-teachers, my friends, some other special folk who we're not going to get into, but people who just really mean the world to me, and it breaks my heart to have to leave them because I don't know when the next time I will be back. The most I can do right now is say that I love them, and I know that at some point in the future I will be back. I don't know when, but I will go back. I promised Minsu made me pinky promise that we would go to each other's weddings when that happens one day. So I'm gonna do everything in my power to make that happen. Quick thing I remembered as I was looking at this video was this tattoo. Right next to the tattoo is this the reminiscence of a bruise. Remnants. I'm so tired. It's been a long day. Remnants of hi Abby. Of a bruise that I got from falling up the stairs when I was moving. I don't know how I did it, but I got a bruise here and on my hip and on my lower thigh and on my ankle and on my other ankle, all from falling. But anyways, what was I saying? Great question. I think I was talking about leaving Korea. I think I was talking about leaving Korea and things, saying that I love people and I'm gonna miss them and I'm gonna come back. And also, let's talk about Korea. Let's talk about my favorite memories, some of the least favorite things that happened, something I learned the most from. Let's just get into that. So for this next segment, I'm gonna have an interviewer. Let's bring to the stage, Emmy!
Hello and welcome to our Korea reboot. Review?
Review? I think it's a review.
So our first question for Miss Gabriella Baja Michelson is, what was your favorite memory?
I gotta say, probably one of my top favorite memories was the weekend that Emmy and myself and Maddie and Tiger went to Gyeongju That really sticks out in my mind. It was a really wonderful weekend. Go check that video out in the upper right-hand corner right now. I don't know which one's the upper right-hand corner for you. Either that or when we went to Yosu, which was also a really, really amazing weekend. That was one of the first trips that we took together, the three of us.
Yeah.
Right after Jeju. So you can check that video out too in the upper right-hand corner somewhere. One of those two. And then I think the other two highlights that I would say were Tony's birthday weekend, which there was no video for. But that we went out and we got a pension out in the woods and then went to a watering hole and just ate a lot of good food.
Camped out.
I took a really funny video of Minso eating his first s'more. And that was fantastic. That was when Maddie was still here. And we're not even here anymore. And it was just an all-around really great weekend. And then I think the final memory that I have that really sticks out, I have so many. Either when we were in Suwon.
Oh, Suwon was nice.
Suwon was really great. And also the day that Minsu retired from the army and got his nose pierced. That was super fun. And Emmy also got her ears pierced. That was amazing. So lots of good memories from Korea. All right.
Okay, question number 2. What do you think you will miss the most?
Is it bad if I say the food? No, I'm kidding. I really am like I said, I'm gonna miss my friends the most, and my students and my co-teachers. But other things about Korea I'm gonna miss the most. I am gonna miss food because some of the food that you get in Korea, you can't get it the same anywhere else in the world. Barbecue is just not outside of Korea. There's no dakgalbi, there's no jimdak. Actually, I think there is a dakgalbi restaurant, but it's really expensive in New York. You bet your blood I'm gonna be going to it though. So the food, and just like food, not just food, but food culture. I really love that in Korea, everyone's a part of the meal. Everyone helps set up the table when you get there. Someone's passing out napkins, someone's getting the spoons and the chopsticks, and it's once you order, you get the one thing that everyone shares, usually, and so, or you get a couple of things that everyone shares, and that's just how it always is. And so everyone eats together, and it's a community experience, and I really, really like that about the food. Other things that I'm gonna miss, just the cost of living in general. I had a great, huge apartment that was not that expensive in comparison. Though my gas in the winter was through the roof. What else? Health insurance. Oh, I'm gonna miss Korean health insurance. It's so nice. So nice. I'm gonna miss cafe culture, honestly.
Yes.
There's nothing like the middle of the afternoon where you're like, I don't know what to do. And so you just go and you grab a coffee and you meet your friends and you chill. And that's great. So those are the things that I'm gonna miss about Korea. Okay.
Our next question. In Korea, what do you think you've learned?
I learned Korean.
Aye.
I said that as a joke, but I really did. I'm not fluent by any means, but in 2 years, actually after 1 year, I started dating in only Korean because I got really, really good at texting in Korean. And then suddenly I started meeting people who didn't speak English. And so I was really forced to learn Korean and get good at it. So that's a cool thing. What else did I learn? So onto like more emotional things. I talked about what I learned in terms of what I learned before getting this tattoo. I learned independence in an entirely new way. I lived on my own in Imshil in the middle of nowhere with a few friends around for a year. And then I made a big move and moved to Jeonju, and Maddie and I lived together for 6 months. But it was, and then I lived on my own for the other 6 months. But I bought a car, and just I did a lot on my own, things that I didn't think I could do on my own before, and I learned that I was totally capable of doing these really adult, amazing things. And so I guess maybe less independence, but more, I learned really how to be an adult.
How to adult.
Paying all my bills and owning a car and doing the things and having my own apartment and managing schedules, all of that good stuff. Learned how to be an adult. And then more emotionally, I learned how to value myself, and I learned how to say no to other people in order to say yes to myself. That's a big thing. I learned how to prioritize my energy to best serve myself and to best serve the people who mean the most, and not to serve everyone who needs me. What else did I learn? Emmy, what do you think I learned the most?
I was like, why are you asking me? You also started doing this, and I thought you were about to point at me.
I learned a lot about Emmy.
I don't know. I'm very similar with the definite independence and yeah.
Cool.
That was a good answer.
Thank you. Worked really hard on it. All right, Emmy says she has one more question.
Our last question, yes. What lessons will you take from Korea going into the future?
Oh my god. This one right here. That's a big one. I think other lessons that I'm going to take going into the future is it's okay to say no. It is absolutely okay to say no. And you will inevitably hurt people's feelings by saying no. But there's nothing you can do about that in order to do what's best for yourself and to take care of yourself. So that's one thing that I want to take into the future. Standing up for myself. I went through a lot of shit, a lot of bullshit with my Office of Education and IMSHO and how I was being treated by them, sometimes by my schools, sometimes by Korean men, and by friends. Not Emmy. They're no longer my friends, which is the whole point. People who weren't serving me, I'm learning to let go of people and experiences that are no longer providing joy in my life.
Marie Kondo.
Yeah, Marie Kondoing that shit.
Not just for objects.
For people too. What else? Lessons that I learned going into... I'd like to continue to learn Korean.
Yeah.
Keep that up. It is really, really cool to speak a second language, and more Americans should, because it's kind of embarrassing that we don't. And that's what I have to say on that subject.
And that has been our Korea review.
Emmy rolls off the bed and everything goes wild. All right, past. Check. On to the present. Today is Wednesday, March 9th at 5:40 p.m. in Thailand. So the big adventure that I was alluding to in the last video that Emmy and I were planning for was this big adventure. So the big adventure started on Saturday. Emmy and I flew out of Incheon Airport and we flew to Bangkok. The name of the airport, I still have not gotten the name down for. It's kind of a difficult name. So we flew in, we had to do 1 night of quarantine, and then we went down to Pattaya. And I'm not going to go too much into detail about what we've done because I'm not going to do a segment. I'm not continuing my epic video diaries anymore. This is where it ends. And now let me explain. The reason I'm doing that is because while I have loved being able to show my friends and family back home what I've been up to, it is a lot to edit these videos and to make sure that I'm taking them at all times. And definitely about halfway through, I started feeling like I wasn't living in the moment so much because I was so concerned about getting these videos and making sure all of the content was provided and everything like that. And so I decided for this one, I'm not going to do that, but I will give you a little introduction, explanation of this trip. So like I said, right now we're in Thailand. We're here for a week, and then theoretically on Saturday, we're supposed to be going to Singapore. We've been having a lot of issues with our not our Thailand pass, air travel vaccinated lane pass to get to Singapore because Korea won't let us have an international QR code because we're not Korean citizens. And so we've been dealing with that and trying to do this. It's a very complicated process, and bureaucracy is a bitch, and yikes. But anyways, at some point, hopefully by the latest Monday, we will end up in Singapore. We'll be there, and then from there we are headed off to Europe. We're going to start in Germany, and we're going to Berlin, Munich, Heilbronn, Heidelberg. Then we're going to pop over the border to Strasbourg, where Emmy is going to finally, after 2 years, 2.5,
for almost 3 now,
3 years, close her French bank account because she lived in Strasbourg. And then we're going to go to Luxembourg to Paris. We will be in Paris on my birthday this year, which is very exciting. And Maddie will be joining us for Paris. Yay! Because she's in Spain now. And then she has to go back and work. And Emmy and I are going to go to... Oh, I probably should have said that I'm doing this all with Emmy, but I thought that was kind of explicit because she's in the video. Emmy and I are going to Bordeaux, and then from Bordeaux, we're going to go meet Maddie again because she has a spring break in Barcelona, and then Madrid, and then Seville, and then she's back off to go back to teaching. And Emmy and I are going to go to Lisbon in Portugal, and then Emmy will fly out of Lisbon, and I will stay a little bit longer. I'm going to go to Óbidos, and then back to Lisbon to fly home April 23rd. So mark that on your calendars if you care, or don't if you don't. I don't have a preference either way, but I'm flying home to the States April 23rd, 2022. So that's the past and the present / into the future. And then big future, let's see what's next in my life. So clearly I decided not to stay in Korea any longer. And the reason why that is because I just am ready to move on to the next thing. I loved living in Korea, but I am going to grad school. I've wanted to go to grad school for a long time now, and now felt like the right time for several reasons. And so I applied. It was a very difficult October through January applying. There were so many essays that I had to do and prep that I had to do for this, but my work has finally started to pay off. I've already gotten into 2 schools. One is Goldsmiths for Applied Theater, and the other is the Royal Central School for Applied Theater, which is really exciting. The Royal Central School is one of my top choices. And so that, I'm applied to that, and then I applied to a couple more schools, a few of which I've already had interviews for, a few of which I have upcoming interviews for, and all of them are either in applied theater or community dance. actually one is in drama and movement therapy. Basically, all of the programs are looking at how theater and or dance can be used to serve communities for purposes of community building or trauma healing or social justice or peace building. Like the possibilities are endless, and I'm really, really excited to get started with that journey. I have a couple of interviews coming up. I think I already said that, but that is where I am headed in the fall. So grad school, I don't know where in the world. Some of them are in the UK, some of them are in the US, but I'm guessing, well, actually, not guessing. I know for sure I will either end up in London or Ohio. So we'll see what comes next. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram for those details coming up, because like I said, this is the last EPIK Video Diaries video ever done. So that's it. Past, present, future. We've gone through it all. This is probably a really long video by now, and it's gonna get even longer because I have my 1 second of the video at the end of this video. If you remember from last year, I started taking videos from the moment that the day that I left the US, or the day that I arrived in Korea, up until the end of my first contract. And I did the same. I started on the first day of my new contract and took a video almost every day from February 26th, 2021 until I left Korea on Saturday. There are obviously a couple of days missing in there that I didn't feel like putting things in there, like the day that I broke up with my ex or some other sad and depressing days. So there are a few missing, but most days are in there, which is, I was looking back on the video and it's so wild to think of how much has happened in a year. So I'm gonna sign off for the last time. Whew, emotions. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting me along this journey for the past 2 years, whether you have been watching from the beginning or you just recently started watching, which I'm guessing there aren't very many of you who started recently watching, because I don't have that kind of followship. But anyways, serious. Thank you. It has meant the world to me that I could share my life with all of you and get your feedback and hear that you support me. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you again. And I will catch you sometime in the future. I love you all. Thank you again for the 1,000th time. I cannot say thank you enough. And I feel like it's best to end with a nice little bow. So, 감사합니다. 안녕히 계세요. JK, we're back. Emmy wanted to join for this last little bit. Ready? 감사합니다. 안녕히 계세요.
솔직히 말할게 많이 기다려왔어. 너도 그랬을 거라 믿어. 오늘이 오길 매일같이 달력을 보면서 솔직히 나에게도 지금 이 순간은 꿈만 같아. 너와 함께라. 오늘을 위해 그 많은 그대에게 소용돌이치는 하루 속에 사소한 행복을 나에게 줘서 비어있는 내 두 손에 세상의 모든 미소를 지어줘서 가는 길에 숨이 찰 때도 주말 길이 잃는 때도 따뜻한 함께 손을 내밀어주는 그대에게 전해주고 싶은 이야기 그대에게 말하고 싶어 이렇게 또 소용돌이치는 바람 속에 한 사람 있다면 그건 당신이겠죠 생각처럼 쉬운 게 없네요 매일 생각해요 난 어떻게 해야 할지 더 찾겠다 싶을 때 다시 시작이네요 하필 깜깜할 때도 hey, 아무 말 없었던 날 알아주는 건 오로지 그대뿐 오늘도 그대의 밤으로 가고 있어 문을 열면 반겨줄 고마운 그대에게 소용돌이치는 하루 속에 사소한 행복을 나에게 줘서 비어있는 내 두 손에 세상의 모든 미소를 지어줘서 급한 길에 숨이 찰 때도 존나 길 잃은 때도 따뜻한 온과 함께 손을 내밀어주는 그대에게 전해주고 싶은 이야기 그대에게 말하고 싶어 이렇게 또 소용돌이치는 바람 영원한 사랑 있다면 그건 당신이겠죠 윗모나치는 날들에 끝없이 뛸수 있는 건 꼭 되줄게 우리의 믿음 때문인걸 정말 고마워서 눈물이 나는 걸 내가 어떻게 갖고 있어 소용돌이치는 날 속에 사소한 행복을 나에게 줘서 비어있는 내 두 손에 세상의 모든 미소를 지어줘서 다른 길에 숨이 찰 때도 주말 길 잃을 때도 따뜻한 온과 함께 손을 내밀어주는 그대에게 전해주고 싶은 이야기 그대에게 말하고 싶어 이렇게 또 소용돌이치는 바람 속에 한 사람이 있다면 그건 당신이겠죠